Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. My name is Amy Kernicki. I'm a regenerative health practitioner. And if you don't know me, you might have been invited by one of the other women on this call. I am a clinical iridologist, a regenerative health practitioner, a sound healer, I'm a Reiki master, and I own Regenerative Vibration Holistic Practice in Taos, New Mexico. And it's really my passion to teach people that suffering is optional and we can regenerate our bodies at a cellular level and reverse chronic disease, diagnosis, symptomology. I want to be careful about what we're saying on this call because we are recording it to share and I want to stay in compliance. So after the presentation, the main presentation, we will shut off the recording and you can ask questions. So a little background about myself is that I actually came from an environment of being diagnosed with an autoimmune condition and dealt with mental illness like depression and anxiety most of my life and chronic pain. And I really searched for answers for a long time of what was going on with my body. No one understood. No, I got the runaround. I had all different kind of doctors telling me that the pain was in my elbow, in my shoulder. It was like moving, and then it was in my head. And I finally got a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, and I thought that that was like such a relief, right? But actually, then I wasn't being an advocate for myself, and for 10 years, I was just listening to the doctors and using Western medicine. I became more sick, really, with the pharmaceuticals and the side effects of what those do to you. So I was really praying for something else and was looking into holistic ways. And a friend showed me regenerative health, and I became on this path of detoxification and learning all I could, and became a practitioner in regenerative health. So one tool that I have learned about through my institute where I went to school is called ASEA redox signaling molecules. And that's what you all are here to learn a little bit more about tonight. So I've been using this personally since end of April, right when I broke my fibula. So it's been about 2 months since that happened. And I can say my journey with this has been really amazing. I know that my healing has gone way faster. The doctors completely agree. They're amazed. I also have a few testimonials from my clients using this. One person's dad is doing really amazing. He's a week in, and before ASEA, he had a lot of neurological issues, couldn't really talk, communicate, had some tremors, stuff like that. And he's communicating, he's sleeping, he's having really good digestion and bowel movements and stuff that hasn't been happening for months and months and months. It's pretty amazing. I have another client who started it, and she didn't really notice how much off balance her life was. Herself, like she's riding a bike now, and it's just like completely different for her, and she's sleeping better, more energy. I have another client that was putting it on her foot. She has like a weird fungus going on. It's gone. Um, so amazing things are happening with myself and my clients, and I wanted to pass it to Maggie, who is going to share her experience with us now. Maggie, you want to speak?
And I'm going to unmute. Thank you very much, Amy. For those of you guys that know me, you know that in May of 2021, hi Becca Bear, I went through kind of an epiphany, and it ended up being what I consider a come to Jesus meeting, where you had to decide, where's your life going? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I think I was a live to work person. All I did was work all the time. And Becca knows that because I had to cancel a school trip to meet a client. And so I was in actually the hospital in Highland Park at the end of May 2021, where they were telling me they might be removing my toe, my big toe, And I was like, what is going on? So at that point, I had met Jenny. I didn't know Amy yet, but I had met Jenny, and she is a life coach. And I'm not saying it right, Jenny, you can clarify what you are, but for me, you fixed my world and you helped me evaluate how much time I spent working versus living versus spiritual, et cetera, et cetera. So we spent a lot of time talking and got into some health stuff. And through Jenny, met Amy, and I used a product that Amy recommends very highly, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about ASEA. I sat in on a phone call in late April of this past year, after going through 2 years of transitioning my life and changing my focus and deciding that my health, my well-being, my family, those are the most important things, and God. And I think Crystal and Joy and Judy know that that's kind of a big focus in my life as well. And so I'm sitting through some of the stuff that Jenny and Amy are sharing with me, and it's Ask the Doctor Zoom calls. And they're talking about this product that I've never heard of before, ASEA Redox. And I'm like, well, this stuff sounds pretty amazing. So I sat through, I think, 2 Ask the Doctor Zooms. And then I texted Jenny and Amy, and I said, how do I get into this? How do I get some? How do I try this? Tell me more about it. So I was in Florida at the time. We were preparing for my left knee replacement, which was happening at the very end of May. And Amy and Jenny helped me. We signed up. We had some ASEA Redox sent to me along with Renew 28. And I started drinking it literally the minute I got it. And I started with 4 ounces, then I went to 8 ounces and didn't think anything about it. I'm rubbing the topical Renew 28 on both of my knees because both of my knees would creak and make a lot of noise, which is very unsettling when you're working out next to somebody and they ask you why your body's making noise. So I did for 30 days before my surgery. I was probably drinking between 10 and 12 ounces of ASEA Redox a day. And I was starting to notice a difference in my hair, in my skin, in my nails, in my energy, just my overall mental place. My gut was better. I wasn't fighting food things that I had had problems with. And all I'm really focused on is where I'm going with my surgery. So I wasn't focused on, is this ASEA that's doing this or what's happening here? And then I started to realize that it is this product that's making a difference for me. It really became very evident when I had my surgery. I'd had my left knee replaced on May 30th. And literally the day that you have the surgery, they let you out of the hospital. And you're walking around, you're walking upstairs, you're meeting with a physical therapist. My physical therapist came in and was just checking everything out. And he's like, your range of motion is amazing. And for post-surgery, literally 24 to 48 hours, they're just happy that you can walk. And I didn't realize at the time that I was unusual in the terms of my coming out of the surgery and how well I was doing walking and how well I was doing healing. I was outside walking my dogs that day. I was outside walking without a walker and without a cane in 3 days. I don't know that that's normal. I've seen a lot of people come out of this and they're still limping. I attribute this at this point to my faith in Jesus, ASEA Redox, and healthy living, and all of my friends. And I really think that the ASEA that I took and I drank, as well as the Renew 28 that I put on my legs, made all the difference in the world. And then I got kind of creative. Like I have this thing on my back. I started putting some Renew 28 on that. It's almost gone. I heard some things about being able to use it in my eyes. I'm going to try that. I've been on it now since the very end of April 27th. And I'm 60 days in and I can absolutely see a difference in my health, in my attitude, in my gut, in everything. What I wanted to do, and when I talked to Jenny and Amy more, I wanted to share this with other people because I have two friends that are on the call right now that both have eye issues. I have a daughter that has gut issues. I have a sister-in-law that's had challenges ever since I've known her health-wise. And every time I hear somebody talk about pray for this person, pray for that person, I think, oh my gosh, I have to tell you about this product. So that's really my purpose in being here and sharing. It is something that's too good to keep to yourself. For me, it's something that I personally think you need to do some research, make sure you're comfortable. It is a supplement, and that's the stuff that Deb and Amy will talk about more. It's something that I'm so glad I found it, and I'm so glad that Amy and Jenny were receptive when they heard about it, because then I heard about it. And that I'm kind of hoping that's how you guys listen to this. It's something that's interesting, that has huge benefits, and it can't hurt us because it's made from something that's natural to our bodies. And with that, I think, Deb, I'm going to hand it back to you or to Amy to talk a little bit more about the product itself, because I think that's the mystery that I don't want to step on anyone's toes about.
So Amy, do you want me to take it from here? Okay, all right. And my name is Debbie Wetzler. My daughter was able to just join us. She and I have been teaching people pretty much around the world about this. Me for 13 years and Jackie for 6 years at this point. And so she'll show her face when she can. She's just getting off her job. And I live in Golden, Colorado. And so 13 years ago, I had a girlfriend who called me. I lived in Maryland in the Washington, D.C. area, close to the National Institutes of Health. That will come into play in a second. And she called and said, Deb, I know how much you're into health because of your father, because my father had gotten cancer and passed away thanks to chemo and radiation, and the petroleum products that he worked with. So I had gone on a quest to seek something that would really help people at a cellular level to get well and stay well. And that doesn't always necessarily mean drugs and surgery, because I don't know that drugs have really cured anything. They can help in many cases, but I don't know about cures. But your body can heal itself if given the right tools. So she called and told me that there had been a medical breakthrough, and this had saved one of her best friend's lives and had turned around the health in 2 seriously challenged peoples that she knew. And my name had popped into her head, and she knew she was meant to call me. And I was very excited because, again, this was part of my quest. So I went down, she'd sent me a video. I learned all about redox signaling molecules. I learned where they were made and what they did, which is what I'm about to explain in very simple terms. And then I watched that about 3 times and thought, if this is true, this has got to be huge, I would think. And so I called a girlfriend of mine who happened to be a molecular biologist who had graduated from Johns Hopkins, very smart. She had gotten a job at the National Institutes of Health in the mental division. She oversaw studies. She did a lot of research. She was very, very smart. So I drove to her house and I said, I need to know if this is real or not. My mother was having some serious health challenges, and there were other reasons I needed to know right away. And I also wanted to learn more, because we can only say so much in ASEA, being compliant, like Amy was saying before. And so I set the information down in front of my girlfriend. She took one look at it. She looked at me and she almost fell off her chair. And she said, Debbie, I have been studying these molecules for 17 years. And this was 13 years ago. She said, we've had scientists from around the world come to the National Institutes of Health to try to do this. And you're telling me that somebody was finally able to stabilize these molecules outside the human body in a bioactive form? And when I said yes, she just said, you have no idea how massive this is. This will change the medical field as you know it. And I just remember getting chills. She took a textbook about 4 inches thick off her shelf that she had brought home that weekend, coincidentally, to do more research with. And every page was about redox. Doctors have been studying redox signaling molecules and redox in medical school for years. However, before 1990, they thought this was waste material created during the Krebs cycle. So they didn't pay any attention to it. After 1990, when the instruments got sophisticated enough to be able to see them, they're very tiny, they're 4 atoms big or smaller. They do their work in nanoseconds. So they weren't able to film or look at them. They didn't know what they really did. After 1990, now there's been 6 Nobel Prizes awarded for redox research. And they've discovered that, and these are actually called reductants and oxidants. So if you talk to a doctor, that's what you'd want to call them to begin with. The reductants are negatively charged. They are what goes out and turn on or activate the antioxidants in your body. So you could eat a million blueberries and it wouldn't do you any good unless you had redox signaling molecules to turn them on and make them work. They also help you produce the endogenous redox or antioxidants in your body, such as glutathione, SOD, and catalase. And we'll talk about a study later that shows if you start taking this, since your body starts losing them, that this really helps you increase the glutathione levels by 800%, and it helps you improve SOD and catalase by 500%. The oxidants are positively charged. They're what allow your cells to communicate. Your cells are always communicating. That's how your body works. Your blood wouldn't be pumping, you wouldn't be breathing, nothing would be working right now unless your cells were communicating. Because if we had to remember to breathe, I would have been dead long ago. So it's cell signaling. We are meant to be healthy. So these molecules' main jobs are to go out and find damaged cells anywhere. Damaged cells can be anything that Maggie just mentioned, that Amy just mentioned. It could be cancer, Parkinson's, MS, lupus, Alzheimer's, autism, anything, high blood pressure, anything are damaged cells if your body's not working correctly. So these molecules go and find those. Then they send a very clear signal to the immune system. And now the immune system knows where to go, because without communication, the immune system doesn't work. And the immune system can go into that place, say it was Maggie's knee replacement, and it goes to the knee and it starts repairing and replacing the damaged cells. And that's how your body is supposed to work. And that's how your body does work. We all know that cancer pops up in us pretty much probably daily, but our body takes care of cancer cells the way it's supposed to. However, once you reach puberty, so around age 10 for most people, you start losing the mitochondria in your cells at a rate of 10% per decade. And the mitochondria are what create these redox molecules. So you're losing them at 10% per decade. So there goes your energy, and there goes your ability to heal as quickly. So I can tell you a little 5-year-old, and I was just with many of them over this past week, running around with tons of energy. They never get sore, they never get tired. They just keep perpetually moving. If they skin their knee, they pop up, they heal overnight, and that's it. But even as a teenager, if you'll remember, when you went to the gym to work out, if you pushed yourself too hard, you were sore the next morning. Your body was already not healing as quickly. And that's because you started lacking redox signaling molecules that enabled your body to heal. And so that's what I learned. And I thought, wow, again, this has got to be huge. This was the only company in the world that's been able to do this. Your body makes this out of salt and water. That's what makes it seem so, I think, suspicious to people. But what's in every cell of your body? Salt water. That's why they give you saline solution in hospitals. That's why your tears are salty. And so the mitochondria takes the salt, splits it into sodium and chloride. Then it takes the water and splits it into hydrogen and oxygen. Then it just reconfigures those into several different types of redox. H2O2 is a redox molecule. That's hydrogen peroxide. O2, superoxide, that's a redox molecule. HCl, hydrogen chloride, that's a redox molecule. They all do their work. They tell the body where damaged cells are, and then they turn right back into salt water. We always have enough salt water. We just don't have the mitochondria, enough mitochondria to keep producing these like when we were young. And so with that, unless there's any questions right now, I was just going to share my screen very quickly. And Jackie, if you're on, you can come on. And I will start with this slide. And these are just a few slides. It's not a whole presentation, so please don't worry. Slide, so current slide. So I always again reiterate, it has nothing to do with nutrition. These are redox signaling molecules. So it's not a vitamin, it's not a mineral, it's not an antioxidant. It helps your body produce more antioxidants. It's not a juice, it's not an essential oil, it's not CBD. These are redox molecules. It goes beyond nutrition and it impacts your health at the foundational level. And that's what doctors all know. And any new medical student you talk to now, they all know what redox signaling molecules are. They've studied them. They know all about them. They just don't know they've been stabilized, so you can reintroduce them back into the body. And that's a different story, which we can go into in a minute. So literally, redox signaling molecules are meant to put every system into balance. So like your immune system, some people have autoimmune, that's overactive. It's meant to bring that down so that you don't have the autoimmune anymore. If you've got an immune system that you're always getting sick, it brings the immune system up so it's strong, so you don't get sick. But this goes for the nervous system and the endocrine system and the circulatory system, and every system in the body is meant to be balanced. And that's what these molecules do for you. We have 23 patents on it. It is not salt water. You don't get patents on salt water, and over 200 trade secrets. So it's like the Coca-Cola formula. No one else is going to know how to make this for quite some time unless they figure out a different way. Like I said, you have trillions of these when you're very young. And this is the foundation for your trillions of cells to keep them healthy. And the cells make up the tissues and the organs in the system and you. If all of your cells are healthy, you are healthy. And that's what we like in people. I've already explained this part, how your body takes the salt water and splits it into all these different signaling molecules. And the mitochondria is what does it. So since photos and pictures are worth 1,000 words, I can show you what redox molecules do on the outside of your body. The same thing's happening on the inside. We just don't have inside pictures that are compliant. Anyway, so this is a friend of mine, Reidun Bond. She lives in Sweden. She's a live blood cell mycoprocus. And she got this redox gel. We made it into a gel about 4 years later. The molecules are so reactive the minute they touch anything organic, anything. So when you put it in your mouth, we swish it around, the receptors under your tongue take it right in. It does not go down your esophagus. It goes right into the cell membrane walls. And it starts telling those cells what to do, which tells the next cells and the next cells. So there's a cascading effect. So the molecules were so reactive, they had to find a very benign clay in order to make it into a gel. So she was able to get the gel ahead of any of us. And for 21 days, she rubbed it twice a day on her neck. And her neck went from looking like this to this in 21 days. So of course, we all wanted to get it and bathe in it. This is a good friend of mine. He's a research veterinarian, Dr. Marty Morin. He also worked at the National Institutes of Health. He wanted the same cells and the same age cells, so he put it on only half of his face. And you can definitely see the difference. And this is just 28 days. He did it for 3 months. But in 28 days, this is where he applied it. And you can see the difference in the depth of his wrinkles on that side as opposed to this side of his face. This man had a heel crack, which is so painful. And it hadn't healed in months, but in just 1 week applying the gel, it was gone. This lady had puffiness under her eyes and wrinkles around her lips. In 28 days, she looked much better. This lady, since this is recording, had a disease that causes this on your skin, and there's nothing to help it. So, but in just 2 months, you couldn't even tell that she had it. This man had a skin tag, and those are damaged cells, and it got the message not to replicate because it's too badly damaged. So it dried up and fell off in 16 days. And then this lady had what I had, and it was a big patch, and mine disappeared and went away. And hers was almost gone in 3 weeks with the gel. I didn't even have the gel. I was just drinking it. The gel wasn't out yet. And then lastly, our poster child was Rosie. She has since passed away, but she started out looking like this, started drinking and using the gel. She started feeling great and told her son that, who was a doctor. And but she said, I don't really see a difference in the way I look because it's so subtle what happens to your cells over a period of time. When you're looking in the mirror, you don't really notice what's happening to your face. So we always tell people, take a before picture and then do a comparison, because that's where you'll see the big difference. Your friends will start noticing because they don't see you all the time. But anyway, in just 7 weeks, she already looked that much better. And then 2 years later, 3 years later, and then at age 90, she just has life back in her face, twinkle in her eye. Her skin looked so much better. So, and again, this isn't just for, it isn't just for older people or ill people or anything like that. We had athletes that were drinking this, and they started calling ASEA saying, what is this stuff? We can run further, faster, longer, stronger. So they took this to the University of North Carolina, and Dr. David Neiman, the research center there in Chapel Hill, and Dr. David Neiman first put it in a $500 million machine to prove that they were redox molecules. It's been done many times now. So we are redox molecules. It's stamped on the back of every bottle. And then he was going to do an athletic study, and he gave them the ASEA. And before they ever performed any event or any athletic performance, he found that in 20 minutes, they went into fatty acid metabolism. So now they're burning the fatty acids around their abdomen and their organs. It's leaving the glycogen in their muscle and their brains where it's needed. And that's the reason they can run further, faster, longer, stronger. They have that much more endurance. Mice ran 29% longer for no reason at all. So that's what athletes can do. So, and it's been fully approved by WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, and also the Olympic Training Committee. We've had a couple of Olympic gold medalist swimmers on it. They've been on it for probably 12 years at this point. And then we had Dexter Yates, who's my hero. She started working out when she was 70. Thanks to ASEA, she started feeling like it. Now she's the world Ironman champion in her age group because of ASEA. But you can see that we have athletes from every sport going on who have tried this and are using it, and it's really helped them all with their athletic performance. And I know there's someone who want more scientific stuff, and we can get into this a little later. Not everybody loves that stuff. So we have had many companies that have taken our products, taken our technology, and done studies and research and everything else with it. We have this all printed. We can send this to anybody. The only thing I will go into for just a few minutes is the one from Tourette Labs. Tourette Labs is a genetic pathway and genetic big institute, and they do the testing for ancestry.com. So we took ASEA to them and said, we don't know if redox molecules do anything to open up genetics pathways and turn on genes again or not, but we would really like to know that either way. And so they took it and did an 16-week blind, double-blind, placebo-based study. They took 35-year-old men and women. 10 of them got nothing as a baseline. The other ones were split into halves, and half of them got salt water, and the other half got ASEA, redox signaling molecules. The ones with salt water, 100%, no change at all after 8 weeks of drinking 8 ounces a day. The ones who were taking ASEA, 100% had an increase in turning on their genes and opening up their genetic pathways, 20 to 31% in many areas, but 5 major ones, the 20 to 31%. And those areas were the immune system, inflammatory response, cardiovascular and arterial elasticity, healthy digestive and gut enzymes, and hormone modulation. And all of those different categories affect many other genetic pathways in your body. The hormone genetic pathway alone affects all of these other ones. So this is why we have results in many of these areas. If you have a room full of people drinking ASEA, if you ask them if they're just kind of normally just happier, that Maggie was kind of talking about, just a general feeling of being in a good mood, it helps you release serotonin. It helps your circadian rhythm. So people sleep like babies and go into very deep sleeps and have vivid dreams. Many times, the NRF2 pathway, that's oxidative stress. That's our second study proving that this greatly lowers oxidative stress in people, which causes the disease. Ovarian infertility. We have many people who have had testimonials who could not conceive at all and get on ASEA, and in a couple of months they are pregnant and they deliver very healthy, beautiful babies. Human thyroid stimulation, which is what what it helped me with. Insulin signaling, type 2 diabetes especially, responds very, very quickly to redox molecules balancing their sugar levels. Sudden infant death syndrome, spinal cord injury, all of these we've seen major results in. And I can just say that it's been amazing what we have seen, what I've seen in 13 years. For those of you who want to know, again, this isn't just a company with a product. Redox molecules and redox signaling are a huge area of studies. So much so, my girlfriend again sent me this, the Medical University of South Carolina, NIH granted them a $10.5 million grant to open a redox research center way back in 2015. That was followed by Cornell. They granted a $2.3 million one. And so Harvard, Wake Forest, Vanderbilt, universities of Nebraska, Colorado, Virginia, Stanford, Rochester, LSU. I've got a whole list. These are just a few of the ones in the United States, and this is all over the world, that have opened redox research centers so they can do major studies on what redox can do for the body. And then just last month, on June 21st through the 23rd, there was the 25th annual Redox Congress in Paris, where doctors and scientists from around the world fly in to hear what news has been found out about redox at this point. And I know Gary Samuelson was Dr. Gary Samuelson. He's an atomic medical physicist. He's one of the scientists that helped us stabilize these molecules. He goes to that every year. And lastly, many people Google everything. Google is not a research engine. It's a search engine. You will find good and bad about ASEA, about everything on that site. A lot of people say it's an expensive salt water. We've proven it many times and taken and had it validated many times that it's not salt water by very reputable companies who have very significant machines that can do that. You can't just test for redox. But if you go to scholar.google.com, you will find over 1.6 million articles about redox signaling molecules. And if you go to pubmed.gov, which if you have anything to do with medicine, you know that's the National Public Library of Health and Medicine. And depending on what you type in, there's between 37,000 and 500,000 studies involving redox. And you could type in redox and whatever you're interested in and find the studies done on those. And so that is what's convinced many doctors to take a look at this. There are thousands of doctors in ASEA. They realize the importance of having redox molecules as your basic foundation. And then, of course, you can add on, there's many other things that help your body, food and nutrition being one of them. But as a foundation to help you absorb the nutrition, to help you do everything correctly in your body, start with Redox and then add on. And so that's the presentation. There's Jackie. Did you want to add on anything, Jackie?
No, I've been listening.
I didn't see you. I could have turned it over to you.
It's all good. Nice to see everyone. Thank you all for joining and just listening. I'm Jackie.
Anyway, so, and this helped my mother. Her testimonial was amazing. And when we stop recording, I can actually tell you some of the names of stuff and tell you what happened with her, because I couldn't believe it at age 88, what happened to her. And Jackie and I have many testimonials at this point and know many people that have been helped. So
Yeah, thank you so much, Debbie. Thank you for sharing. I love this presentation.
absolutely.
Beautiful. I'm going to stop recording and then I'll open this up for questions. So
Absolutely.
if you are watching this recording, please reach out to who brought you this recording, and we can help you get started and answer any questions. And I'm sure Debbie or Jackie or myself are happy to do personal calls with anyone that has deeper questions too. So.
Yes.